What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today we're going to do a video on temperature. I've seen a lot of posts on the Facebook group and a lot of other groups about should you heat your fancy goldfish or do they not need any heat. So today I'm going to give you my take on the topic. Hey Fanatics family, welcome back. Remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can keep up to date with our future uploads. Also, check out the link in the description for the Facebook group. I'm sure, as I've said previously, most of you are members on the group now, but just for anyone who isn't, check it out. You might find some helpful information on there. This week we're doing another Back to Basics series, all based on temperature and whether goldfish are tropical species or cold water, and the big debate that's on everyone's mind. So firstly, when looking at temperature, you need to look at where your goldfish have come from. Are they Thai origin, Chinese, or English bred? These fish have long bloodlines far back into the decades from breeders' families who have bred these fish over and over again, and ultimately these fish have slowly adapted to the different temperature ranges. Just remember that it's better to have a solid temperature with no fluctuations rather than trying to chase a specific temperature, similar to pH. Let's compare it with koi, for instance, as koi are a little bit easier to decide about temperatures as they all originate from the same sort of area, mostly from the Asia area. So koi are cold water fish, but they grow and exhibit better health in warmer waters. Hence the breeders keep their best fish indoors over the winter and keep them warm, heated in fish houses at about 24-26 degrees sometimes. They do this because the fish's health is better. They are less prone to parasites and bacteria, whereas obviously it's still possible, but outside in the mud ponds where it's a lot colder, the fish can, although they can grow better in these ponds as there's more natural food, in the colder temperatures they're less resistant, to parasites and bacterial infections, for instance. Also, when keeping fish indoors, the farmers can feed them regularly 6 to 10 times a day even, as smaller portions of food is better than larger portions. So the big debate is, should we keep goldfish without a heater or should we in fact heat the water? There's a lot of different discussions on this topic, and I've tried to do a lot of bits of research into this video to try and come up with a conclusion that will help people. We've got a few breeders on the Facebook page that have stick with their tried and tested methods where the goldfish go outside and they don't struggle in the colder temperatures, some even down to 6 degrees with no adverse effects. And you can see by the pictures that those guys and gals put up that the fish are in really good condition, they grow them really quickly, and they just are overall really nice healthy fish. However, you also see pictures just like this one here, where the Thai breeders have fish in mud ponds or sometimes concrete ponds outside, which are really shallow. They are in full sun, they heat up to 28, sometimes 30 degrees, and the fish are growing really fast. But also remember that these breeders are changing water regularly, they've got aerators, and they're more in touch with their water. So another thing to think about is your oxygen rates in the water. As you can see by this graph here, as the water temperature increases, the saturation of oxygen within that water decreases. This doesn't only have an effect on your fish, but also your bacteria. As bacteria require oxygen to complete the nitrogen cycle, the higher content of oxygen in the water and the oxygen-rich water will help bacteria break down the ammonia into nitrite and then into nitrate. Obviously, into nitrates are formed in anoxic environments, so they don't need the oxygen. So going back onto the fish and the oxygen, obviously a higher oxygen content in the water will lead to healthier fish. There'll be more efficient at breaking down their food, and they'll be more active. Like you see on fishing lakes sometimes, Where there's a heavy population of fish, just like in our aquariums, going back to the stocking video, when there's heavy populations of fish, the oxygen consumption will be high, but the retention of the oxygen within the water at these high temperatures is much lower. And when the plants reduce the oxygen within the water at night, which is the dawn lag effect, you can sometimes get mass fish kills, and you might see loads of fish floating at the surface. This is because there's insufficient oxygen within the water. And when you're heating your tank to 28-30 degrees, there is far less oxygen, so you need to keep that in mind and maybe use a few aerators to help maintain the oxygen levels within the tank. Also, going back onto the bacteria thrive at an optimum temperature about 24.5 degrees. So if you want the most efficient rate for your filtration, then looking in that 24 to 25 degree range is ideal for bacteria. Obviously, as the water slows down and heats up, the bacteria will slow. They won't die off, but they will just slow their function. There was a really interesting article that I read on another Facebook group. I think it was called Fish Tank Talk, by James Kopko, PhD. He did a really good write-up of the optimum temperature. That's the feeder going off, that scared me. He did a really good video on temperature related to goldfish, and he used a few different pieces of evidence from other scientists. Although it was with common goldfish and not the fancy variety, he found that the optimum water temperature was 26 to 30 degrees, and the goldfish much preferred this water. If you want to check out that article more, I can't actually get hold of it, but just message in the description and I'll try and help you find the group so you can have a little read of it. It's a really good report. There's about 12 pages. It's not too long. It's quite a good scientific study. So personally, I keep my fish tank about 24 degrees. I find that at 24 degrees, the fish do really well. They eat food readily. I feed them 6 to 8 times a day. So personally, I keep my tank at about 24 degrees. Although there will be seasonal fluctuation as they go out in the summer, I find that 24 degrees for the winter time is quite good. It keeps the fish health really nice. There's also little to no problems. Occasionally I might get a bacterial problem or possibly a little bit of damage, but that can't really be helped. They're nice and strong to help fight off any infections at this temperature. Also, they eat really readily. I feed them about 6 times a day, just breaking small feeds up throughout the day, which helps to get the most out of the food. Also, the bacteria is working really efficiently at this temperature, and I just find that the fish are looking active, healthy, and that's really all we're looking for. However, you can also keep goldfish in cold water, as some of the breeders on the group have found that their lines of goldfish can go down to 5 or 6 degrees and still be happy and healthy. What are we actually looking for in our goldfish? Are we looking for health, activity? What really makes the deciding factor between warm water and cold water? So just before judging someone and saying you haven't got a heater in there, you need a heater, remember that the goldfish don't actually need a heater and they do absolutely fine in colder water. Alternatively, don't slate someone if they've also got a heater in their tank. If you're not trying to grow your goldfish quickly, you don't want to do lots of regular maintenance, even though it's advised, then colder water might be better for you, because when the water's colder, the algae will grow slower, the fish's metabolism will be slower, so obviously it will be producing slightly less waste and ammonia. Therefore, your maintenance doesn't have to be quite as perfect as we'd like. So an ambient room temperature of 15, even 20 degrees is absolutely fine. But obviously, if you do run a heater, then you can feed your fish more. You might have to do a bit more maintenance, but especially if you've got fish from a Thai origin, some Thai breeders will recommend that you heat your tank to 26, 28 or even 30 degrees. Some of the guys on the Facebook group run their fish really warm, but Their fish are happy and healthy, they grow quickly, and overall the condition and the health is really nice. And these temperatures have actually stemmed from the breeders themselves, and they are the ones that are producing the masses of these fish. I'd probably take the advice of a breeder, not some 23-year-old kid that's telling you how to do it. I just said don't listen to me, basically. That also debunks the myth that you can't keep goldfish with tropical fish because they need different water parameters, when in fact goldfish are so versatile that it doesn't actually matter, so that myth's debunked. However, I still don't recommend keeping other fish with goldfish, but that's not just down to the temperature. The temperature isn't the problem, it's the cohabitation of different tropical fish with goldfish. So I hope that's helped quite a lot of you. Obviously I didn't really come to a definitive answer. The ideal temperature generally I'd say is between 18 and 20 degrees. If you want to grow your fish quickly and you want to feed them a lot of food, then you can definitely bump that temperature up. I'd say 20 to 26 degrees is probably about ideal. Obviously this is more focused on the fancy variety. The common goldfish can do well in really cold water, and their general health will be kept in optimum condition. If you want to start breeding your fish, then seasonal fluctuation is good. It's good for them to have a little bit of a cold period and then ramp up to a warmer 22 to 24 degrees, as this helps them, their natural instincts kick in, and they'll start getting into condition ready to spawn. I do give my goldfish a bit of seasonal fluctuation in temperature. They do go down to around 18 degrees throughout December and a bit of January, and then obviously, as I've said, I brought them up to about 24, and then they'll go out into the outdoor pond. Because I'm going to be breeding these guys, I'm going to probably split the males and females. As they're going out a bit earlier, around April time, the temperatures won't be quite as warm, so they'll probably be sitting at about 18-20 degrees hopefully, and I'll just have that heater on there that I spoke about in the previous video, just to make sure there's no temperature fluctuations, because temperature fluctuations, as I said, is far more important than